U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday signed proclamations that will restore the boundaries of 3 American national monuments that were reduced in size by former President Donald Trump to allow for commercial activity.
The protection of public lands must not become, a pendulum that swings back and forth depending on who's in public office. It's not a partisan issue. There are more than natural wonders. They're the birthright we pass from generation to generation, a birthright of every American.
The restoration by Biden will protect more than 3.2 million acres in southern Utah, known as the Bears Ears, and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, as well as the nearly 5,000 square mile Northeast Canyons and Seamounts Marine National Monument in the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast of New England. Native Americans were thrilled by the news, calling it a victory for conservation over development. Meanwhile, those with fishing interests on the East Coast and Utah's Governor Spencer Cox expressed frustration, adding that his state would consider its legal options. Under federal law, presidents have the authority to create or alter national monuments unilaterally, which makes their protection uncertain. Trump had sought to allow ranching, drilling, mining, and commercial fishing in the areas, which were established as monuments by 2 of his Democratic predecessors, former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. The reduction was part of Republican Trump's broader agenda to loosen regulations on industry, which critics have decried as coming at the expense of the environment and wildlife.
Today, I am proud to announce the protection and expansion of 3 of the most treasured national monuments, our most treasured. Based on powers granted to the president under the Antiquities Act, first used more than a century ago by Teddy Roosevelt. The protection of public lands must not become, a pendulum that swings back and forth depending on who's in public office. It's not a partisan issue. National monuments and parks are part of our identity as a people. There are more than natural wonders. They're the birthright we pass from generation to generation, a birthright of every American. And preserving them is the fulfillment of a promise to our children and all those who will come to leave this world a little better than we found it.
The pipeline leak that spilled an estimated 3,000 barrels of crude oil into the Pacific off the coast of Huntington Beach, California, should have been quickly detected and the flow of oil immediately shut off. And in fact, the U.S. Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA, said the pipeline operator received a low-pressure warning at about 2:30 a.m. local time on Saturday, October 2nd. Reuters correspondent Jessica Resnickalt did some digging and found out what was supposed to have happened next.
When an alarm goes off in a control room, operators are expected to take a number of steps. As soon as they've verified that there is a spill of more than a barrel, they are supposed to immediately notify federal, state, and local response agencies. In fact, a spill of even a single barrel is supposed to trigger a call to the CEO, according to the company's spill response plan, which we obtained a copy of from the state of California.
But the company says the San Pedro Bay pipeline wasn't shut down until 6 a.m. Pacific time, about 3.5 hours after the PHMSA said it received an alarm. It's not clear why the company shut the pipeline at 6 a.m. because according to the company, Houston-based Amplify Energy, they didn't learn of the spill until much later on Saturday morning. CEO Martin Wilshire said this on Wednesday.
We're not aware of any spill until 8:09 a.m. on Saturday morning. I promised you, if we were aware of something on Friday night, I promise you we would have immediately stopped all operations and moved forward.
In response to a reporter's question about the 2 a.m. alarm, Wilshire said, quote, "We were not aware of any alarm at 2:30. He also said the company was investigating the timeline and, quote, working with regulators to see if there was anything that should have been noticed. The spill of 3,000 barrels is relatively small, but it has already impacted wildlife, tarred beaches, and hurt coastal businesses. It's also raising questions about how, even with preparation, the spill occurred. The cause of the California spill is under investigation. Officials are probing whether the rupture may have been caused by a strike from a ship's anchor. Investigators discovered a section of the pipeline had moved 105 feet and had a 13-inch split running parallel to the pipe.
I promise you this will be a truly great, not only hotel, but economic development project.
former President Donald Trump's Showcase Hotel in Washington, D.C., lost more than $70 million during his 4 years in office, according to congressional investigators, who also said Trump concealed millions of dollars in payments to the hotel from foreign governments, posing a potential conflict of interest. The House Committee on Oversight and Reform said on Friday that recently obtained government documents raise troubling questions about the hotel, which the Trump Organization leases from the federal government. The Democratic-controlled committee said Trump reported that the hotel earned him more than $150 million during his time in office, but actually lost more than $70 million. The committee also found that the hotel received over $3.7 million in payments from foreign governments, roughly equal to more than 7,400 nights at the hotel. Provisions in the U.S. Constitution prohibit the president from obtaining payments or emoluments from foreign governments. Trump's lawyers have argued in court cases that his ownership of the hotel did not violate those constitutional provisions. The committee found that Trump moved millions of dollars through other businesses, complicating efforts by the government agency that manages federal properties to enforce provisions that prohibited him from collecting money from the hotel. A Trump Organization spokesperson did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
One of the great hotels anywhere in the world.
The congressional committee also found that Trump concealed debts when he was bidding for the use of the property in 2011 and failed to disclose what it said were favorable loan terms from Deutsche Bank that financed renovations to the hotel. A Deutsche Bank representative declined to comment on the record.